the monster.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Let's talk about Predator Killer of Killers. This film is directed by Dan Trachtenberg and Joshua Wasong, and it is kind of a multi-storied animated film and set in the Predator universe with 3 different stories about each one battling a predator and how those stories kind of tie together. I had no idea what to expect by this film. I had the opportunity to obviously watch it a little bit early, which I'm very grateful for, and I thought, you know what the hell, let me check this thing out, let me see what we got. And I'm happy to report that I was really pleasantly surprised by it. This thing is bad ass. And not just from, an action standpoint, an animation standpoint, because of course it is, but also just from a storytelling standpoint. Each story feels unique, interesting, and is incredibly well made in its own right. I don't want to give too much away about each story just because, just in case you want to go in with just as little knowledge as possible, but what I will say is my favorite story was the second story. I thought that was so well made. I may find myself going back just to watch the second story portion and just reliving it over and over. What I liked particularly about the first 2 stories is that you didn't even really need the predator to show up in them. The fact that they did just made the story that much cooler and more fun. The third story, it's harder to make that argument. It had a lot of stuff going for it already, but, I think adding the predator is what made that story more fun and interesting. One of the few negatives I have with the film is that the first 2 stories have a very similar tone to them. I mean, they're completely different stories with completely different characters, but the tone of them is quite similar in the stories they're trying to tell. The tone of the third story is just kind of a lot more fun, tongue-in-cheek, which, don't get me wrong, wasn't bad, but I did think that it was a bit jarring to go from the first 2 stories to this one, and when the stories do come together, that tonal shift is kind of a distraction. I mean, by the end of the film, I really liked the journey of everyone and I liked what they did, but it does stand out. And so some people might prefer that, which is great. To me, it was a little bit of a hindrance on the movie. What I found really interesting about the movie is that it actually adds more world building and a lot to the Predator universe. If you thought that you could skip this movie because it's animation, I would not do that at all. There's a very cool reveal at the end of the movie. There's a lot of small, fun Easter eggs and references that you can catch that I was like, oh wow, this is actually really, really cool. And I love when a risk pays off like this because, pitching to a studio, and of course it helped that Dan Trachtenberg just knocked it out of the park with Prey, but pitching to a studio, hey, I have all these different Predator ideas, but rather than spend hundreds of millions of dollars making them movies that may or may not be successful, let's turn them into like 3 short films, do it animated, and we can put it on Hulu. Like, that is very hard to greenlight. And the fact that it was made and that it works so well is just awesome. Like, I love seeing stuff like this. I would love to see more stuff like this. Oh, and each story deals with a different, variation of a predator, different type of predator. And it was very cool to see the different variations of them and how each one was kind of tailor-made for the situation that they were hunting for, which I did really enjoy. Oh, and I should probably add, it's animated. It's still violent as shit. It's disgusting in a great way. I loved the action in the movie. One thing that could have been a really make or break thing for the film is its pacing, considering you have to tell 3 separate stories, tie them together, have it be feature length, and have it be, satisfying as a narrative. And it achieved all of that. It achieved all of those things. The pacing of each individual story was fantastic. By the time you get to how they come together, you're just kind of on the edge of your seat, like, yes, I can't wait to see this. Like, it builds it up so well that by the time you get to the end, you're like, yes, finally, let's go. Let's see what this is going to be. I don't know if I would have said this before I watched it. I would actually really love to see either a sequel to this or just something that continues the story in this world, because clearly they're doing some big world building with Predator, and if you saw the Predator Badlands trailer, it looks like, they might even be reincorporating Alien back into it, which, didn't work out the best last time, but hopefully we can get it better this time. I also wanted to comment on the sound. This movie sounds incredible, and it's a trend that we've seen a lot in animation, the past couple years, especially in series, like X-Men 97 had incredible sound, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man had incredible sound. This movie has kick-ass sound work, especially when you're trying to be immersed into this world that you're not used to seeing in an animated style. The sound really helped the immersion experience, and it really helped just tell the overall story. The sound work was incredible. Ultimately, I highly recommend Predator Killer of Killers. It's only about an hour and a half long, and it tells 3 very interesting stories, ties them together in a fun way, and is a welcome addition to the Predator universe. I'm really pleasantly surprised. Like, I'm probably going to go watch it again sometime this weekend. Like, I'd be nice to just, like, lay in bed and turn this on. Like, I feel like it'd just be, like, a nice vibe to have. But once you've seen it, what did you guys think of Predator Killer of Killers? I would love to see your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.